Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So in this video, we're going to run through our day one best team for King Croaker on my own account, and I'll be using my friend's account with Talene. So unsurprisingly, Talene is also insanely good for Croaker because of her ability to revive. So right here we have some of the top damage teams shared by the top players of our server. So I'll just briefly share this team comp right here to showcase the formation. Later on, I'll be running to my friend's account to showcase this team because their account has Talene. So this is for those of you guys who have Talene, right? This is like the higher damage range team. And without further ado, I'll use my own account to talk about what to do, right, if you don't have Talene. Okay, so for Croaker itself, the core unit is actually Torrent, obviously, because you need Torrent to actually bypass the insta queue for the free-to-play players or the lower resource players, and you need multiple lives because the boss will have 3 insta queue. So Torrent is pretty essential. And then, right, for the carry of choice, we are using Smokey, obviously. So Smokey at the level that we are at right now, currently for my account, it's let me just show you guys my account level right now. So currently for my account, the resonance level is 411. I haven't been buying out all the hourglasses on a daily basis, but right here we are level 411. So based on our levels right here, we can't insta kill the boss yet, but based on the past experiences, if the boss's HP is low enough, the insta killing mechanic from Odie's EX weapon, if you do have his EX weapon built up, will actually be able to kill him somewhere around the 93 to 96% range. So this is the part where running Odie is good, because if you do hit the boss until the 93 to 96 or 97% range, the Heart Crusher ability will be able to do an instant nuke to bring down the boss. So that's why Odie is actually insanely good when you are inching in on insta killing the boss, and that's why I say Odie is the better one. Because for me right now, the boss HP, my max damage right here is about 90%, so we are relatively close. And what I predict myself to be able to beat the boss will be roughly a few hours from now, after I level everything up to 420 and then upgrade my equipments from there. So this is for the Odie carry side. So if your Odie ain't exactly the most developed, I think one of the most commonly used carry by a lot of people right now is obviously Lily May, right? So Lily May is also viable as well. Lily May just doesn't have that insta killing ability that Odie does. And I think in general, because we're running Torrent and we're running a whole bunch of Maulers, I think running Odie is the better choice, because that way you get more stats based on the fractional bonus itself. But if you don't have Odie as developed as Lily May deals damage perfectly fine as well. So that's for the replacement. So that's for the Odie carry. So we are switching in Odie with Reina, obviously, so I don't want to explain too much about Reina because you guys probably know how good he is in this season. And then we have Smokey, one of the best supports in the game. And lastly, we have Mikola. Okay, so for Mikola's case, if you don't have Mikola developed, what you can do is obviously use Coco for the massive damage reduction. For this boss itself, the AoE damage coming out from the boss is not as painful as the previous boss, so you can make do without Coco's damage reduction, right? Skyclop's damage output on the AoE sweep is so much higher that you need Coco's damage reduction to survive, but for Croaker specifically, you do not need, right? So with double healers from Mikola as well as Smokey from your team, it's more than sufficient to sustain. So this is if you have Mikola, right? And Mikola offers a much more powerful offensive buff compared to Coco, so it's much more optimal to min-max your damage with Mikola over Coco if your team can survive. So the artifact of choice is actually the resonating spell to just get additional haste and then let Odie throw the ultimate, which is like a mini nuke, and get more attack on him for him to do more damage and have a higher chance to proc the insta kill on the boss. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to showcase the run. Okay, so for Mikola's replacement, what I can suggest is obviously Coco. Another unit you can use that is not Mikola is Shakir. So for Shakir's case, you might have to figure out the positioning, because Shakir is another melee unit that could proc the boss's insta kill, and that is something that you do not want, because for Shakir's case, you'll be able to get damage reduction, and you'll also be able to get haste, which will also buff up the damage output of your Odie on the front line as well. So this is also one of the reasons why you are sending Odie in. Other than all the buffs and stuff, you're also sending Odie into the front line to get the buffs from the melee units. So this is the full Mauler side. So this team has a 4-1 factional bonus, which should increase your survival if you're not as tanky as I am, if you're lower level than I am. So right here, our dear Torrent died. So we consume all the 3 lives. So if your Torrent has an EX weapon, then the Torrent will have 3 life, and your Torrent will be able to tank all the insta kills from this boss. Right, so if your Torrent doesn't have the EX weapon, then your Torrent will be able to tank 2, and then I think either Mikola or one of your frontline units should be able to, or will be the one taking the 3rd hit. So that's one thing that I want you guys to know for the newer players. So this is the damage distribution, just hyper buffing Odie for this one. You can also try to run the dual core, but like I mentioned earlier, because we are running Torrent specifically for the insta kill negation, you kind of want to like use like full maulers to get more stats for survival purposes in case your account isn't exactly as tanky as mine. So that's for this team. Okay, so just to reiterate, this boss, this one, okay, magic bubble here is a skill that insta kills 3 times, right? So if you have Torrent with EX weapon, you got 1 life that will be used up by the skill, right? And then right, you have another life that will be used up by the link ability between you as well as the ally, which is the EX weapon part, and then 1 more life, which is Torrent himself. So Torrent will be able to soak up all 3, but if you don't have Torrent, or you have Torrent without the EX weapon, then you will have to sacrifice another unit for that. Okay, so that's for the best team setup for the players without Talene. Next, I'm going to move into another account to showcase the Talene performance. Let's go. And for this showcase, it's one team featuring the Mauler setup, like I mentioned, and instead of using Torrent as the insta-kill negation, we are using Talene for this, okay? So let's take a look at the formation. This is the formation as such. So Mikola will run up and buff the team, and then Talene will be the one taking the insta-kill. So without further ado, let's start this replay, okay? So this is for those of you guys who have Talene and you have all the units that are stated here. So right here, the Mikola will start channeling the ultimate, and then once the Talene gets the energy charge up, Talene will actually fly in front, and Talene takes the insta-kill and then comes back up because we have 2 healers on the team. Okay, and then she will be able to channel her ultimate until the next insta-kill, which she will take it once again. So she take it and then revives pretty fast after enough heals comes in. Okay. Okay, and then here she's gonna take 1 more insta-kill. Okay, and then, right, because if you look at the timer itself, we have roughly about 20 seconds left. We should be able to hit the boss until we reach that 90+% range, which I mentioned for the insta-kill on the boss over here. Okay, so it's not 96, yeah, 95%. So the boss just died immediately at 95% from Odie's insta-kill. So this is for those of you guys who have all the units right here. To be more specific, Talene, right? Because you need Talene to come back infinitely from the insta-kill and then still provide damage, and also provide for the additional stat gain from the factional bonus itself. So now, if you have moved on from common 2 and move on to hard, then this will be the better team, because the boss are hitting a lot harder, so you will need Torrent to take the damage from the boss itself, and we will be very, very far off from the kill zone, the insta kill threshold of the boss, so we are relying on Talene being the damage dealer for this one. Okay, so we'll use this lineup. Okay, so for this one, we will be sending in Talene, sending the unit, we'll be sending Talene in with Reyna's ability, so that Reyna's heal is able to keep Talene healthy. This is pretty much the same, I'll say, like arrangement as the Odie one, but instead with Talene as the carry. So for this one, we will be using Verdant spell, because this offers way more defensive stat compared to Resonating spell for our team to survive better. Okay, so let's showcase this run. So if you have like some level tuning questions, then the units to tune your level will be your carry, which is Talene in this case, as well as Mikola, because Mikola has the ability to do additional damage by burning the enemy from her EX weapon, so that's where increasing her stat will give her a little bit more damage. Okay, so this is with Talene as the carry with the double healers. So like I mentioned earlier, you can also use Coco, although Coco is less synergistic with Talene than Mikola and Smokey, because Talene comes back to life with sufficient heals. So that's why she will be a little bit less synergistic, but I think it's fine if you don't have Mikola built up, or if your Coco is not as developed as your, if your Smokey is not as developed as your Coco, for example. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Just a very simple showcase for this boss. So for Croaker, I think it's pretty standard. I think there isn't really much substitute for it, because you pretty much need somebody to take the insta-kill. So for that, you have two choices, Torrent or Talene. And then for the damage dealer part, you have obviously Lily May as well as Odie for this one. So Croaker has always been weaker to the magical damage side, so physical team in general is not that good, and obviously your melee teams featuring your Lenya, Kruger, all this is not as good because they get insta-killed pretty easily by this boss. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.